welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I am Rachel, and I'm the owner and founder of Intuitively Wild, and I am very excited for today's episode. Today, we are talking about our ritual for the month, which is for the full moon on November 15th. And this full moon is a supermoon, which just means that it is closer to the earth than other moons and is brighter and more visible. And also we can feel the power and the potency and the energy of it even more strongly. This full moon ritual is really building off of our last two rituals, the last 2 months, the first being the autumnal equinox and the last being our ritual for Samhain. And these rituals build off of each other because they all hold the energetic symbolism of autumn and of this time of slowing down and starting to soften and prepare and nourish ourselves, and a big emphasis on reflecting and releasing and taking stock of our lives. As I mentioned in one of those previous rituals, the autumnal equinox in paganism is known as the new year. So this is really a time of reflection and holds that energy of a new chapter. And while the autumnal equinox initiated us into fall, we are now fully immersed in fall and slowly transitioning and shifting into winter energy. This is a reminder that fall is a time to start fresh, to let it all go. Because as we enter winter, we can only take with us what is truly nourishing, what is truly supportive, and what truly sustains us and supports us. And so fall is that time to check in and be like, what is it that I'm holding on to that no longer serves me? And if you've been around for the last few months, those are themes that we've been really focusing on and honing in on for ourselves, because that's what this time of year is asking us to focus on. And not only every autumn, but this year specifically, especially with the eclipses that we had a couple of months ago. What needs to be let go of? And this could also mean what needs to be looked at in a different way. Where do our perspectives need to shift? Where do our minds need to be more flexible and open and curious? So having the capacity and the capability of looking at things differently and reminding yourself that life is meant to surprise us and life is meant to change, and we are meant to change. Our minds are meant to change. Our bodies are meant to change. Our needs and desires and feelings are meant to change. And our job is not to try to control that or predict that, but to meet that with acceptance and embrace that, and to conjure up the tools and the support that can bring us through that with more ease and grace and confidence. And so I hope that that's what this ritual provides you with. I hope that this is another tool and support system that you can build into your life to bring with you as you navigate all the changes and transformations, because they are uncomfortable, and letting go is uncomfortable. Releasing is uncomfortable, especially for letting go of something that we thought we never would, or we weren't expecting to, or we don't know what will come and fill its place. A lot of what autumn is asking us to do is to release and let go and let there be empty space. And winter is often sitting with that empty space. And in our world, in our society, in our culture, that empty space is not only wildly uncomfortable, it's frowned upon, and it's taught to us that it's not okay. So how can we change that narrative for ourselves and then really feel that shift in our bodies and start to remind ourselves it is safe to let go. It is safe to let go without knowing what's going to come and fill that empty space, and to be with the empty space. I had a Substack post come out, I think a couple weeks ago, that talks about this a lot, and how doing nothing is not a waste of time. And as we lean more and more into the energy of fall and start to shift more and more into the energy of winter, that is the mindset and the knowing that we have to give ourselves permission to step into. Because only through that are we able to really receive the benefits of the seasons and of the world around us, and to connect to ourselves and our intuition in that deeper way. Only through the empty space can the new come to fill its place that we have been asking for. And only through the empty space can we connect to that inner voice that has been trying to talk to us. Because when we are constantly filling our space with distractions and noise and doing, there's no room for anything new to come, and there's no room for our own intuition to be heard. So these rituals are also a way to create that space in your life to slow down and to listen to what needs to be said to you, which was our mantra and intention for October. So that's a big part of the energy we are walking into this full moon with. This full moon, one of the main names it is known for traditionally is the beaver moon. And this is very significant. Beavers prepare their dams before winter. So this final preparation, the final moments of taking action and making changes in your life and embracing the transformations before resting in winter, getting yourself safe, prepared, building that foundation for the colder months. It's the final stages for our winter preparation. And the symbolism of the beaver creating its own dam is a reminder that we create our own lives, and we create the structure and the support and the foundation around us to protect ourselves, to nourish ourselves, to put up our boundaries, to put up our schedules. We create our lives, and it is our responsibility to create that foundation, to build a strong foundation that really supports us in living an aligned, alive, and intentional life. So as you are entering this full moon, think about the tools and the support and the lifestyle that you need to embody and embrace in order to build that foundation for yourself as we head into winter, and honestly, just our life in general. How do you nourish yourself? How do you support yourself? And if you want a practice for honing in on what you need and want when it comes to nourishment in each category of your life, you can find that detail below in our autumnal ritual and on our YouTube. And I will link that below. In the pagan tradition, this was known as the morning moon, because it's a time to reflect on the past year. Like I said, this was their new year, and release all that you cannot bring with you. And all that winter is asking you to shed, anything not crucial or vital or supportive. And even more literally, many cultures associate this time with death and loss. Think about the trees losing their leaves. There's real loss in that. That's the symbolism that we are thinking about right now. And this is a time to grieve and process and feel what we need to let go of. And this energy is really felt. I don't know about you, but the second we transitioned into autumn, I felt this immediate shift within me and this immediate desire to slow down and withdraw a bit. And that is the energy of this time. We're starting to settle in. We're reserving our energy so that we can create safety and sacred space for the winter. And then that's when we will really settle down and find stillness. But this is the time of beginning that process, preparing for that process, and processing. There are a lot of different human design gates being activated at this time. Sometimes during these full moons or whatever we're creating this ritual for, we'll see a theme, and that can be more easy to digest. But what I want to share for this episode is that we have a lot of throat gates and some G center gates being activated. And if I'm remembering correctly, during the autumnal equinox, we had a lot of throat gates activated, even more prominently. So we talked about the energy of that in a little bit more depth. But this is all about communication, self-identity, expression, creativity, direction, and being seen. So just noting that these themes might come up a little bit more during this full moon, noticing what your sense of self and your means of communication feel like right now, and just being curious and paying attention. Part of what this slowing down process allows us to do and asks us to do is to be more present and pay more attention to what is happening around us. And so I hope that this reminds you to do just that, to just be curious and maybe pay extra attention to these themes in your life. Okay, and now let's transition into the details of the ritual. And as I will always remind you, setting up for the ritual is part of the ritual. So really take your time and initiate the beginning of your ritual by lighting a candle or stating an intention, or just taking a moment of silence to shift into the energy that you want to evoke in this space. Set the mood, set up your altar, put on music, really create a sacred space for yourself. And when I say space, I mean both in the time, create the time for yourself, and your physical space. Make sure that no one's going to come and disturb you, that you are really carving out the time and space in your day to support yourself with this ritual. So for our altar suggestions, when it comes to the theme, the colors are dark and nourishing and warming earthy colors. So anything in that theme or that aesthetic can help you embody this energy, feel supported by this energy, and feel more open to embracing and embodying this energy. When it comes to our elements, we start with ether, and this is the spirit realm, the air around us. And as we discussed in the Samhain ritual, this is a time of deep connection to our spirits, to ancestors, to any entities or energies you connect to or believe in. This could even be a deeper connection to nature or to your intuition, your inner voice, yourself, whatever feels true for you in this moment. Autumn is when that connection can really be felt even more significantly. And so we can use that to strengthen this relationship, to really hone in on and harness this relationship. So find a way to honor this connection to that energy, whether it is putting something on your altar for your spirit guides, or spending more time talking to nature, talking to a tree, finding a tree that you love and taking a leaf that fell from the tree and placing that on your altar, or writing a letter to your intuition, putting a picture of your ancestors. If you want more info on a ritual for our ancestors or our spirit guides, I do recommend the Samhain ritual. We go into that in more detail, and that's a practice that can be done at any time and can still be as deeply connected to right now. Then we have water, and our altar suggestion for water this time around is utilizing ice. Ice as a symbol of transformation, of the changing seasons and the mutable energy of this time, and also of what's to come. So you can place ice in a glass, and if you'd like, you can get one of those pretty cute silicone molds and make ice into a specific shape. But I don't have one of those, and I don't foresee myself getting one. So you can also just take any kind of ice, place it in a glass, put it on your altar, and just let it melt. And watch it melt throughout this ritual. And watch as it transforms into water. And also, this serves as a mental preparation for what's to come. And just how we have used our water altar items in the past, when we place it outside with the full moon, our water, our ice will be infused with the energy of the full moon and the energy of the air and the space around us, the energy of our intentions and our ritual. If you'd like, you can drink this melted ice afterwards. You can use it to burn out your candle. You can pour it over a favorite plant, or you can keep it on your altar throughout this moon cycle. Next, we have air, and that is our incense. And for this ritual, I am suggesting lavender. Lavender is healing. It helps you release. It helps clear. It helps clarify. It really helps cleanse our space. And so if you'd like, you can walk around your space to clear it, to let go of the old, to bring in the new. And it also can help you connect to those spirit guides or other energies around us. And I love walking around my space with incense. And I often just use whatever I have on hand or choose a type of incense through my intuition or based on my intention. But I've started to do this sometimes daily, but almost always weekly, lighting incense and just walking around my space, either a specific room that I'm working in or my whole house, and connecting to my intention, connecting to my intuition, and just taking that time to clear the air, literally and figuratively. And next we have our fire. So yes, I share a lot about candles and different scents and candle ideas for your altar, but today I wanted to share a practice that I have been doing with my rituals and my intentions, and I shared this in my YouTube video for the new moon in Virgo. But what I've been doing recently is I will take my intention from the last month or the last moon cycle or whatever time period I last wrote my intentions that I'm ready to move on from. And I will get a new candle for the month, which I know isn't always practical or accessible. So alter this to what works for you. But I tend to get a new candle for the month if possible. I'll place my intention from the last cycle in there and let it burn in the candle throughout the month. And to me, this symbolizes that those intentions, they are now up to the universe. I'm not focusing my intention on that. I'm not focusing on them. I'm not leaning into them and taking action on them as much as I was in the past month, but I'm trusting that they are still coming to fruition, or they have already. And I'm not burning them to release them and let go of them and not want them anymore, but I'm releasing my intentional energy and action driven towards them. And then I will write out my new intentions and place that on my altar, which we'll get to later in the ritual. But that is symbolizing that these are now the intentions that I am focusing on and taking action on and really embodying. And next month, I will burn those intentions in another candle. Or you can even place them on top of the old intentions in the same candle, if that candle hasn't been used up yet. One thing I will say is I did that this month, and literally just earlier today, my candle burst. And I don't know if it's because of the piece of paper with my intentions on it inside the candle. I haven't had that happened in the last few months. I haven't had any issues. I'm blaming the eclipse energy because as I'm recording this, we are still in that eclipse energy, but who knows? I still am going to do the practice, and I still think it's really powerful, and it feels really good for me. And it's a reminder that there's this constant give and take and this constant check-in of when is it important for me to take action and direct my energy and focus on these intentions, and when is important to release that focus and let go and lean into the surrender and the trust and really take my hands off the wheel and know that all is happening in perfect timing. And the two pieces of this puzzle are not separate. Even as we're taking action and focusing our energy and intention on our intentions, we're also releasing and surrendering and trusting the timing and staying unattached and open to things happening even more beautifully and magically than we could possibly imagine. So the two really do have to go hand in hand, but this helps me embody that even more because I am someone who can have a hard time with the letting go and the surrender and the trusting. And lastly, we have our earth element. And this is honestly anything that connects you to nature and to this time of the year. You can put some root vegetables on there. You can put leaves on there. You can put grounding crystals and rocks. My favorite, which I've shared before, is going outside, doing a little nature walk, or just spending time with your feet planted on the earth, and find something from outside that you feel drawn to, that you feel pulled towards. You can use your intuition to do this, whether it's a pine cone or a leaf or a rock, something that feels like it's energetically pulling you, and place that on your altar. Next, we are moving into our yoga therapy tools. And I do want to remind you that all of this will be written out on a blog post that goes up both on the Substack and on the blog on the website. So if you prefer to read things, or if you need something to refer to as you are going through your ritual, if you're not listening to this as you're setting up or doing the ritual, that will be on hand for you before the full moon. So our yoga therapy tools. The first is a pranayama practice, which is called Brahmari, or bee buzzing breath. So how you perform this pranayama is you want to find a comfortable seated position. Place all 4 fingers of your hands over your eyes except your thumb. And then plug your ears with your thumbs. Alternatively, if this doesn't feel good for you, you can just find a position with your hands that feels intentional and grounding and comfortable. Whether that is both hands on your knees, palms faced up or down, hands on the ground, palms in your lap, your hands on your heart. You can play around with it and see, but I would really try the original hand position because that is the full breath and really brings in the full benefits of the breath. So once you have your hands covering your eyes and plugging your ears, you're going to gently close your eyes and start to inhale through your nose. Then exhale through your nose while making a humming sound. And try to elongate your exhale for as long as you can. So you're inhaling through your nose for a comfortable breath, and then exhaling deeply out your nose while you are humming. And the idea is that since your ears are plugged and your eyes are closed, you are shutting down all external stimulus. And it's called bee buzzing breath because as you are listening to your humming with your ears plugged, it will sound a little bit like a bee buzzing. But the idea is to just focus on that sound coming from within you, and close out all the external noise. And you want to simply focus on that sound within you and the vibrations moving through your body. And you can do this for however many rounds feels comfortable and feels good for you. And again, keeping your breath long and deep, but prioritizing comfort and not even really thinking about your breath too much. Just focusing on the humming, that sound and that vibration. And when you are complete, you can place your hands on your lap and take a few moments with your eyes still closed or gently, softly looking at the ground, and take a few normal breaths and start to notice all your senses coming back into your awareness from what's going on around you, what you now hear, what you now smell. Just noticing the rest of the world coming rushing back in, but keeping your grounded, calm, internal connection. And this is also preparing us for our meditation practice. So from there, we're going to do a meditation for when you're feeling resistance to trying something new or doing something different, or even sharing your experiences and using your voice. So this form of meditation is an inquiry. You want to think of it as a conversation within yourself, an adventure within yourself. It is not about forcing or controlling or perfecting. Do it however feels easeful and natural to you. You don't even need to see it as a meditation. You don't even need to close your eyes if that doesn't feel right for you. So to do this meditation practice, we just want to find a comfortable position. So check in with yourself after you complete your pranayama practice and see if you want to shift your position, whether you want to sit down or lie down or stand up, anything that feels grounding to you, where you feel at ease and connected. And start with a few deep breaths and allow yourself to go inwards. Again, we don't need to focus on our breath. We just want it to be easeful and comfortable. And when you are ready, ask yourself, what wants to come out of hiding? And just sit with that question. And this is why the transition from the pranayama to the meditation practice is really important, because it set us up for this inward inquiry and this inward revealing. And if you feel your mind wander, come back to the question, what wants to come out of hiding? And just see what comes up with no judgment, no expectations. Maybe nothing comes. Maybe your thoughts are just focusing on your to-do list. There is no right or wrong here. And maybe there's just the quietest voice in the back of your head saying something to you. And only through this stillness and silence and practice are you ready and able to tap into it. Regardless, just try to bring your mind back to the question over and over again. What wants to come out of hiding? If something does come to you, name it, acknowledge it, and see if you can go a little bit deeper with it. Ask it if it wants to tell you something, if there's something that you need to do or say or change. Just start to have a conversation with it. If it's helpful, you can always journal about this, or you can journal afterwards or have a conversation with somebody about this afterwards. Try to just stay in that grounded, present, curious energy. If you keep coming back to this meditation, eventually you will be guided by your intuition on how to move forward and deal with what wants to come up. And deal with is kind of in quotes, because it might not mean doing anything or changing anything. And it definitely doesn't mean that anything about you is wrong or needs to be fixed. It's all about connecting with ourselves and seeing what needs or desires wants to be heard. The work here is to relax and trust that whatever you need to see will show up when it's meant to. You just need to be open and give it the space and permission to do so. Once we see what needs attention, we can release it, work with it, transform it, and that supports our process of transformation and letting go. And now we are going to move into our herbal companions for this full moon or full lunar cycle. Of course, these are herbs that can be helpful and supportive at any time, but I find having 1 to 3 to focus on for a certain time period can really help us hone in on the magic and nourishment that is available from that herb for us right now. So rosemary is for clearing, cleansing, and releasing. It ensures that the energy surrounding you is supportive and aligned and grounded. So as you can probably hear, this is the perfect herb for fall and for entering winter. And then nettle. If you've been around long enough, you know that this is one of my top favorite herbs of all time, which I go into more personal shares about this herb on YouTube. But for now, what I will share is that this herb promotes fierce boundaries. It'll give you the push you need to take action and the confidence to stay rooted in your decisions and who you are. It pushes you outside of your comfort zone to do what you need to do what is meant for you. And at the same time, it provides a sense of comfort and stability and nourishment and support. And then we have lemon balm. And this plant helps ground you in the present moment. It keeps you focused on what is happening for you right now. It also supports mental and emotional well-being and helps you think clearly and confidently. So transitioning into our journal prompts, I want you to look back on your journal entry from the equinox ritual. In that ritual, we did an activity that I referred to earlier in the podcast that had us creating categories for our life and understanding our intentions for each and our nourishment needed for each. So check in with that now. Do you feel nourished? Have you been acting on these intentions? Does anything need to shift or be recommitted to? If you haven't done that ritual yet or want to redo it, this would be a perfect time. Or you can just focus these questions on a present moment inquiry around your sense of nourishment. And those answers will inform our next activity, which is about our reflections. So here we are preparing for the new year and reflecting on what has transpired so far this past year. Again, we're starting to release and let go as we go into hibernation and enter our calendar new year. And take this time to mourn and release anyone and anything that is not bringing you joy, that is not aligned with your desires, that is not supporting your growth, so that you are ready to enter winter and the new year clear, confident, and connected. So how we're going to do this is we're going to write a letter to an old version of ourselves. So something that you are letting go of and ready to release. A version of you that you are ready to surrender. Thank them for all they brought to you, what they taught you. Share your feelings and emotions. Be honest. Anything that needs to come out to fully release and let go. And then say goodbye and feel free to burn this letter, or you could rip it up, throw it into the garbage, flush it down the toilet. If you want, you can keep it. But something that symbolically for you is this energetic release. And really let yourself go all out. Just write whatever comes to mind. Don't prohibit yourself. Don't restrict yourself. Just write and release and let it all go, because part of being able to move on from past behaviors and thoughts and patterns and past versions of ourselves in general is the ability to get out all that we need to release first. And after we complete that, we're going to write a letter to the new version of ourselves. So write about all you are excited to do together, what this next chapter is bringing. And as much as possible, write in the present tense as if you are already embodying and embracing this version, as if these things are happening or are beginning to happen or are planned, because that signals to our brain that this is the energy that is our present moment, is our reality, is our truth. And go all out. This could be like a mini vision board. If you want, you can even create a vision board instead if you prefer that over words. But devote your heart to time creating this new version of yourself, all you are welcoming and embracing. And you can focus on who you are going to be for this fall and winter season, for the rest of the year, going into the new year. And that moves us into our intentions. And as we stated in our autumnal equinox ritual, fall is for nourishment. And we are taking that one step forward for this full moon. November is a time to put ourselves first. Now until December 22nd, when we have the winter solstice, we are preparing. We are going on an inward process, an internal portal. We need to make sure we are taking care of ourselves and our needs and understanding who we are so we can enter winter with our foundation steady. We need to let it all shed so we can go into winter and the new year clear. So our intentions for this full moon are all about making ourselves our priority. Our words for this full moon ritual are protection, peace, processing, and priorities. Our mantras are, I release with reverence. I prioritize my peace and protection. I am safe to process the past, to embody the present with confidence. And again, these are just examples, alter and shift as you go. But as you can hear, we are summarizing all that we've talked about in this ritual. We are building off the last few discussions from our autumnal equinox, and we are honing in on what is truly our priority right now. And that leads us to our intention. Our intention is, I am all I need. I am my priority. And I think that if we are able to keep that intention in mind throughout the rest of this lunar cycle until the new moon in 2 weeks and the next full moon in December, that brings us right up until the winter solstice, we will be moving through this time with presence and awareness, with this deep connection to ourselves, with our focus on nourishment and boundaries and true grounding support, and with building our foundation, with prioritizing our needs, with protecting ourselves, putting ourselves first. Through that comes deep self-understanding, deep self-compassion, and an ability to soften and surrender and trust. And that is the energy and the embodiment that I am praying and hoping for all of you always, but especially for this season of our lives. I think it's what our world needs right now. We need to put ourselves first in a really intentional and intuitive and authentic way so that we can show up for the world full and compassionate and open-hearted. If you need any support around this, because although this practice sounds so lovely and beautiful, it can also be so challenging to prioritize ourselves and to nourish ourselves and to show up for ourselves in this way. So if there's anything coming up for you around this, whether it's emotional or tangible, I would love to work through it with you, whether that is through my mentorship or just a little DM chat on Instagram. Reach out. I'd love to hear what's coming up for you. And we are in this together because, trust me, I know from firsthand experience, I'm working through my own experiences and challenges with all of this. And that is why I know that these practices do work if you work them. It works if you work it. So this is my offering for you. I hope that you use it in a way that feels really good for you, and I hope that it serves you. Thank you all so much for being here. As always, if you love this episode, I would love to hear from you. Please let me know what you thought of it. If you have any suggestions or feedback, feel free to share it with a friend or a loved one. Rate and review it on Apple and Spotify, just all the things. All that support really means so much to me and Theo, because he is supported by me. So yeah, just sending you all so much love with an open and grateful heart, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.